But we're now being joined to look at this big fight against corruption. So many names people have chosen to call it Arms Gate, and some names attached to the gate for that particular matter is Sam Omashe. He's the chairman editorial board of Nations Newspapers. Good morning and thanks for joining us. I was following this over the weekend, and one of those that struck me is when we talk about who is on trial here, it would also seem as if the media is also on trial when we talk about the arms gate. But looking at that holistically before we narrow it down to the media, how is this for you, being a news person and following events in the polity?
There are some news stories that you are excited about. There are some that you are just sad about. This is a very sad one. It is a story of letter writing and floodgates. It's not just a gate here. Some people call it Dasuki gate and other kinds of gate, but I think it's a floodgate where all kinds of confessions are taking place, where it almost has taken the shape of an amoeba, where, you know, amoeba, when it wants to reproduce, it cuts, and then the other part becomes a whole one. So the case is a case of, well, I took the money, I gave it to you, then I said, well, I took the money, I gave it to him, and when I said, no, I didn't get it, I gave it to him. So it was a relay race of corruption.
It's spreading. and the thing here, why so many people will be excited that you're here is looking at you and what you stand for, and looking at the profession that should have been reporting all of this.
Yes.
Also, as if they're also on trial here in the media.
Exactly. It's not unfortunate. It's a story that is, as a media person, very, very difficult to talk about. But we say we are the fourth estate of the realm, and we should not be above the realm. And that is what has happened. There are a number of questions that need to be answered, and the questions have not been clearly answered. Says, at first, I heard that it was 140 million that was given to the media. When the news broke out, it turned out to be 120. And it turned out that some people who were on newspapers who were supposed to have collected did not collect. And the other thing had to do with...
Is that also around corruption? Because of that story of compensation, at some point, some papers had been stopped from circulating in certain states of the country.
Exactly. That's where I'm going to. And the point was that there was an act of impunity about that time where some newspapers were taking the newspaper vehicles, were conveying newspapers, and the military stopped them, impounded their newspapers, and the newspapers were angry. Like the newspaper I belonged to, they stopped our papers, and we were suing the federal government for what it did. And then the story came that NPAN was trying to broker some kind of arrangement for mitigation of the pains that the lawsuit was going to cause to the government. So, quite frankly, I don't agree with any kind of, I was not in any agreement. I wanted, on my own part, that the federal government of Jonathan should have been sued for that impunity and asked to pay according to the course of the law. But the NPAN, in its own wisdom, decided that we were going to broker a deal. Okay, if you broker the deal, there's supposed to be transparency about it. How do you hand over a check of 9 million, not a check, sorry, a draft? There is a difference between a bank draft and a check. I mean, if it's a check, you know the account from which it is coming. If it's a draft, it's just the money. You don't know where it came from. NPN did not ask their chairman, where is this money coming from? Where is the check from the federal government? I think the same thing is happening with the case of the Dasuki case and so on, the case of the AIT AIT man. I think there was one very comical story about where the president was there and the vice president was there when it was signed. Nobody asks questions. Or I don't know, unless there's more to come out of it. Nobody asks questions.
But
Where is this money coming from? If you say, as the chairman or the president of NPAN, that we got X amount of money, where is the check?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, don't you think that we should differentiate between what was paid from the arms money and what was paid to the media? Aren't there two different packages?
That has to be clarified because all of the money came from the office of the NSA.
If there was going to be
An
compensation,
NSA,
if there was going to be
the last
compensation for
time
the
I
media,
checked, the NSA is in charge of security.
that's why I'm going to ask
Not
the next
media.
question. If there was going to be any kind of compensation for the media on that matter, where do you think the money should have come from?
The money should have come from the federal government and must have been, and the check must, and all the documents should have shown that the money was specific